See, these people, these theists like Eric Hovind and these preachers, they, in actual like, and all these, when they debate, they just putting the Jesus in there. They actually believing in a deist God. They're just putting that Jesus in there to make it true. But in actuality, you know, I don't, I think some of these, these theists, and we know all the preachers, they just trying to get the money. But these debaters, these theists, these some of them, I don't think they believe in the Jesus. They believe in a God, but they believe in a deist God. And this has come up, and then they just put the Jesus in there. Because actually, when you put that Jesus in there, and the whole God philosophy of the religion doesn't make sense, because God is what, genocidal, infanticidal, slavery, rape, murder, morals, stoning babies and hurting people, just totally ridiculous. God, these deist debaters believe in a deist God, but they just put that Jesus in there to convince everybody that that theism is right. And like I said, if you go for the deist God approach, yeah, it definitely makes more sense than a theist God approach. I mean, deist makes more sense than theist. But of course, atheism is still the best approach. Okay. And then you have like Eric Hovind says, well, you look up at the stars, you look up the trees. Well, how did it all get here? But they don't understand this process is a billion year process, right? Like 5 billion year process. You know, we have to take it way back. And since it's so long, it's very hard to explain. But But since it's so long, you have to take it back when the universe, and before time existed, before the universe. Then, when the universe came to existence, the universe was, you know, when it existed, it was a totally different universe than now. Different gases. It was hot. It was totally different. And everything evolved from a single cell, Luna, the last common universal ancestor. And this all started at Mars. And all this diversity, plants, animals, and humans, from the meteorite, from the constant bombardment of in space, came down to Earth and the water, and this is where the process of life apogenesis came to be about. That's how life started. That's how life formed. These theists think it's like 100 years process. No, it's a billion-year process. It's a very, very long process. They just don't understand. That's how trees came to be. That's how the sky. And people can just look at this stuff. Why is the sky blue? Really scattering. You can find a lot of answers. We actually explain almost so much. I mean, you can just Google this stuff. We found the transitional fossils, more transitional fossils now. Um, and you will become an atheist. I mean, if you really do the research. But if you just don't want to do the research and just be blind and think, okay, this magical paradise in heaven and God did everything, you're kind of just defeating yourself and shutting off your purpose. But hey, if you want to believe in that, fine. But when you say um, that absolutely authority, there's a God, uh, you really can't prove that, because science has proved more than your God will ever prove. For the billion-year process, for apogenesis, how life came to be about. We even find out even more transitional fossils now. Um, so yeah, so when the trees came about, so if everything, all life from Mars, from a single cell, and we're talking about plants, animals, humans, came to Earth, that's how everything developed through a billion-year process. Like I said, even if we had time travel, the theists, they seem like they'll probably never be satisfied. Even if you had time travel, you can witness it. You can witness this evolution process, because I mean, you have to be there for a billion years to. It's just not something you can see overnight. And then you can always ask the theist, well, where did your God come from? If God created the universe, and the universe is so complex, even that being had to be even more complex than the universe. Where they got, we'll say, well, God's always been there. God's just always been there. Um, See, this doesn't even make sense because all the religions of the gods just don't make any sense. You know, and like in the if there is a god, it's a deist god, and just a god that's just outside of space, out of time, and not even in familiar religions. But still, where the hell did that come from? It just boom, just came up here. You know, the universe came to exist. So this is why still atheism is the best approach, and we're going to learn even more. You know, it's hard to understand from being a process. You know, um, you know how we got our brains, how we developed. It's through cell division, mitosis, meiosis, um, uh, and any of it could be perhaps even extraterrestrial. That we don't know. I mean, that even gave some spark. You know, think about it. There's other planets, thousands of planets, or I mean more than thousands. Perhaps there was some kind of extraterrestrial that gave us everything in our brain. How we know how we came about, and people that say we know absolutely sure there's a God. That's not true. The prime time, they don't even know that God exists. Babies don't even know that God exists. The only reason people know that God exists was through church, was through the holy books. There's nobody born, absolutely, and I can say this 100%, knows divine relevance of there's God of the mind. Nobody. It's only been through holy books and people that have been pushing the religion. So that's absolutely, and that's why I can say for sure, um, you know, there's really no God, you know. So and then you know, because they they have more people now agnostic. You know, there's atheists is coming up more and more and more, but people just kind of don't want to do the research. Well, there's more people being agnostic, which means, well, there could be and there could be not a God. So this means these people don't even follow religion. They don't even follow holy books. They just live a normal life. They just live a life like an atheist. But they just say, well, there could be and there could be not be. You know? So there's more people agnostic than religious people. You know, I'm telling you, the God gap is going to get smaller and smaller. Um, People, you know, they always say, you know, well, how can you reason anything? How do you know what's real? See, if there was a total miraculous technology influence that gave all this stuff in the brain, and we know our brain is not in the vat, perhaps there was alien intelligence that had an influence. Let's go back to um, uh, I forgot what's the name of the guy. You know, he said the DNA structure is so complex